So last year, one of the big stories in Class 3A was the emergence of the Boling Bulldogs. The Boling Bulldogs were a squad that, you know what? Let's look this up. I'm going to look up where we had them picked last year. Let's see. Last year they were in District 13. Let's check. Max, we're having a little bit of fun here. I'm going to open up the 2015 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. I'm going to turn to District 13. Let's see. District 13, 3A, Division 2. And in that, we have they mentioned that their new coach, Stephen Dorr, is there. We have them picked third in the district. We have them picked third in their district. They did not win the district, but they did finish second in that district, and then they went on quite a playoff run. And here to talk about his Bulldogs is the head coach of Boling. We are pleased to be joined by Stephen Dorr. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
We are hanging in there. How is everything in beautiful Boling, Texas?
Everything's going well. Just grinding away, midsummer. 4 weeks of strength conditioning is done, and we have 25 days till August 1st, and here we go.
So we are I want to take you back to last year where you come in, you get the job at Boling after being the offensive coordinator at Angleton. You take over a program that was 17-24 in its last 4 seasons. It had been 27 years since their last 10-win season, and then all of a sudden, you guys rattle off 12-2. I guess my question is, how?
Well, number one, they had kids that could play, and just had to get them in the right spots. And then we put a good staff together, a bunch of Angleton guys and guys that I had been around. Every coach that we brought in was somebody I knew. And we were lucky and fortunate, and we still are. Didn't lose any of those guys yet. And then we just went to work, and we expected to win. We felt like we were going to have a chance to do that from the get-go, to go 12-2. I don't know if any of us thought that, but we thought we would win. And immediately, and that was kind of our approach, and we preached that to the kids, and that's kind of what we did, and we just didn't take any excuses,
Was there a moment kind of in the build-up to last year, or even maybe at some point during the season, where you started looking around and saying, we might have something here, we might have something that's actually truly special?
Yeah, probably. It was difficult because a lot of us, there was 3 guys that were on the staff. 2 of those guys that I knew previously before coming in, and we didn't have a great feel for the people we were playing. We've been playing 5A football and in the same area, but you just, when you're coaching at a different level, you don't really look at you worry about what you have to worry about essentially. So. About 4 or 5 games in, and I think we all felt like, hey, maybe we do have a chance to be pretty good, and it just worked out for us.
I want to ask you a little bit about 2016 now. I mean, this is a squad that you guys have. It looks like you are absolutely loaded. 9 starters back on what was an outstanding offense last year, plus another 6 on defense. Is there a little bit of change in philosophy now that you have a year under your belt, and it seems like you've got pretty much the whole band coming back?
A little bit. I think that the big thing is that I ask myself, and we ask ourselves as coaches, is how are we going to handle success? What are the things that can we handle that? Are our kids up for that challenge? We're the hunted now, not the hunters. And, we talk about a lot of those things, but, for the most part, it's just coaching football and getting ready to go play and, week in and week out and, taking one game at a time and all those, slogans that we talk about as coaches, those cliche things, and that's what you got to go do.
What is your message to your kids? I mean, this is a program that, I think in a lot of respects at Katy, take Katy, for example. It's easy to say, hey, go do what those guys did. You know what I mean? At Boling, where you guys don't have that kind of pedigree, at least in the past 30 years or so. All of a sudden, you guys get really rich really quickly. What's your message to your kids as far as heading forward into 2016?
Well, we kind of talk about a couple things that don't change. Number one, we want to finish, and our kids are probably sick of hearing that. I have one here sitting in my office looking at me right now, and he's nodding his head. That's number one, and we got to finish everything we do, and then we have to play physical. We have to win the turnover battle, and those type of things. Those are the things that we have to do as a group. And if we feel like we can do those things, we're going to win most games. And then one thing I left out is we want to be explosive on both sides of the ball. We want to have 6 explosive plays and keep our opponents at 2 or under. So, those are the things that we try to do as a group every week, and that message will not change. And that's who we are. That's who we want to be.
We're talking with Stephen Dorr, the head coach of the Boling Bulldogs here on DCTF Live. Get involved with the conversation at #DCTF Live. It seems like, Coach, you've got a number of guys you can turn to and say, he's an important player, he's an important player. For me, looking at your team, it seems like it all starts with Elijah Gooden. This is a guy who the heartbeat of the defense, and then, your top rusher, a second-team All-State running back. What about Elijah Gooden stands out to you?
Well, first of all, he comes from a great family. Mom and dad are both involved in his life, and they're good people. He is a good student. He's already qualified test score-wise and carries over a 3.0 GPA. And then aside from all that, he's just a explosive kid on both sides of the ball. Averaged 13.2 a carry last year. A little over 1,700 yards on about 130 carries. And then defensively, he's just a guy that can go sideline to sideline, and I think he had 9.5 sacks. And he's just a really good player, and he's a good kid on top of that.
I think maybe this is not an indictment on anybody else on your team, but I think my favorite player on your team is Vernon Jackson, just because of the combination quarterback / defensive lineman, 6'3", 235, a guy who can throw, a guy who can run, a guy who can play defense. Tell our listeners a little bit about Vernon Jackson.
Well, Vernon is all those things you just said. He's going to be a junior. He's learning through the process. He wants to be a quarterback. That's important to him. I think he can be that guy. He's just got to keep growing. He is, big, strong guy. Works really hard, another intelligent kid, already has a 21 on his ACT just this past summer, is going to qualify down the road to play college football, wants to play college football. He's a unique talent, and he's sitting in my office right now. He wants to be as good as he can be, and we're gonna cut him loose this year. I promise you that.
Hey, how about that? I got to good. I'm glad that I mentioned that he was my favorite player on your team, and not somebody else that wasn't sitting in your office. That's probably good. And then your defense obviously is going to be key to everything, especially in your district where you're going to have a number of squads that can score. A number of squads that have those explosive playmakers. Who do we need to know about on your defense?
Well, first of all, our defense coordinator's name is Jerry Young. He has been a head coach previously, 9 different seasons. He's a mentor of mine. He's a guy that was with us at Angleton, and he was coaching on the offensive side of the ball. Really good coach and really a good schemer. We're a 3-3 stack team, and we vary, depending if we play a spread team. We play 3-4 stuff and do some other things. But defensively, we really preach, we have to play defense. That's the first thing we're going to do is play great defense. And then we try to put our best players on defense first and then fill in the offense secondly. There's a lot of good players on defense. We got Cade Bickham is a kid that is a running back also, but is a really good D end. We have a kid named Ronnie Crushaw who is going to be a senior. Is just an explosive little kid that just makes plays. We have a bunch of kids coming back, and the great thing about our defense, we had 9 football games last year that the backups played in. So a lot of those kids have played that were not quote-unquote starters last year. So we feel confident that we've gotten a lot of people an opportunity to play. And we were also very young last year. We played, I think we had 9 sophomores on the varsity and a freshman. So we feel like we're going to be okay defensively.
Let's talk about maybe what's a bad word around bowling. Or bad 2 words rather. It's East Bernard, the only team to beat you guys last year. You play them in district play, and they kind of thump you, and then you play them again in the playoffs, and it seems like it's nip and tuck along a lot of the way. East Bernard ends up pulling away. I know the coaching cliches, Coach. I know it's the first game of the year, but how do you talk to your kids, and what do you say to your kids about this team that seems to be in your way and seems to be the biggest obstacle, that if you can get over it, all of a sudden the road is wide open?
Well, we don't spend a lot of time talking about East Bernard, but obviously they're there. We all know it. The kids know it. We know it. And they're Region 4. You have to beat them if you want to get out of Region 4, period. And they're a great football team. It's a great program. They're going through a coaching change, and Coach Bossi is now the head coach there who has been to D.C. It's something that, I'd be lying to you if I didn't think about them every single day. And I do. And they're a great program. We want to be like East Bernard, and that's how much respect we have for them. And, it's all the things you said. We have to close the gap, and hopefully we can, because, they're always going to be strong and at every level. And it's a true program, what you just said.
Realignment, of course, on the tip of everybody's tongue. Not a whole lot of changes for you guys. You guys get you guys get one addition. Schulenburg makes the move up. When you take a look at District 14 3A Division 2, what are your overall thoughts?
Well, we actually got 2. We got Bloomington also came in, and then Van Vleck went out. They moved up. So it hasn't changed a whole lot. You're right. The whole district pretty much changed over from last year. There's a bunch of I think I'm the only head coach that's left that was in the district last year. That was in our old district. So a lot of change. We don't know exactly what we're going to be seeing in the coming months as far as what scheme they're going to be running and things like that. We usually try to spend time in the summer to kind of get a pregame game plan for them, like a summer game plan, and that's pretty hard to do right now because we just don't know who they're going to be. But we're excited about it. Every week's a challenge, good or bad, and we'll just go from there.
He is Stephen Dorr. He's the head coach of the Boling Bulldogs, and he is in his office right now with his outstanding quarterback, Vernon Jackson. Coach, appreciate your time. Enjoy your off season, and I'm sure we'll be talking in the fall.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
There he goes, Stephen Dorr, the head coach of the Boling Bulldogs. It's always awkward to bring up the team that has your number, but that's the one team that had them last year.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, they go 12-2, 2 losses to East Bernard, and look, there ain't a whole lot of shame in losing East Bernard. East Bernard's beaten a lot of teams.
Very good program.
They were a whisker away from playing for a title last year. They lose to Franklin in the semifinals 10-7. This is but look, the beauty of their situation is that they're going to see them in district play. They're going to see them in district play. That's the team they got to go through to win District 14 3A Division 2, in my opinion. Tide Hayden will have something to say about it, but that's the team they've got to go through. And chances are they're going to see them again. Chances are they will see them again in the playoffs. And can they take anything from that first game, or can they get over the hump in the first game and then all of a sudden go in as the big team to beat?
They're certainly close.
Absolutely. So really appreciate, and I'll tell you, with the experience they have coming back, and the swagger they've got to have around that program, I wouldn't. Let's put it this way: bowling's not a flash in the pan. They're sticking around.